Hello everyone and welcome back to another So You Want to Play video. Today we're going to be tackling Ethiopians, but before we hop into it, I just want to quickly showcase this little, what do you call it, this backsplash, a background little thing that my boy Keegan made for me. So shout out to him, thank you so much my man. It looks phenomenal, I love it, it's so good. I mean, he changed up the colors, he added a nice little me in armor. Yeah, and the arms are a little bit deceiving, I know, but listen, this guy goes to the gym, unlike me IRL. But listen, it's quite nice. Other than the deceiving bicep factor, I really like the background and it's super flexible as well. Like he showed me a few different backgrounds that I liked, so I'll probably have this on for like a month and then change up the background later. But I just love it. The armor is sick and the design is just really well done. So shout out to Keegan once again. This is amazing and just thought you guys would like to see it. But anyway, today we have some educational stuff to talk about, which is obviously going to be the So You Want to Play Ethiopians. Let's hop into it and take a look and see what we can do. Ethiopians. He even remade my colors and made it blue to match kind of my theme on stream. So it's very nice in my opinion. Blue kind of gold borders. It's so clean. But anyway, let's take a look here. So Ethiopians, let's take a look at their technology tree and see what what they do in theory, what their strengths are, and what their weaknesses are, and kind of get a grasp of how to play the Civ in theory. And then I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys a game afterwards. It's gonna be me versus the Viper. Actually, first time I get the Viper on this series, but that's gonna be the case. So stick around to the end, and we're gonna see by the end of it how to play Ethiopians, and hopefully you guys will learn as well how you guys can improve your Ethiopian game and potentially consider maining this Civ. So first of all, we have Ethiopians here. Let me just go ahead and switch the screen real quick. We're going to go to this little display section, put the camera up here so it's not even in the way. Fantastic. So let me just put that up a little bit. All right, just something like that. Cool. Maybe a little bit lower. Okay, cool. So Ethiopians are described as an archer civilization. Their archers fire 18% faster as their first bonus, which is actually very good. I don't know how much this translates to like actually thumb ring. I don't know. This says archers fire faster. I'm not sure how much it is, but it honestly feels like a free thumb ring in a way. It's like an additional thumb ring that kicks in from the start. Think of it that way for at least for the firing faster, not the accuracy. And then you're also receiving 100 gold and 100 food when advancing to every age. So as soon as you hit Feudal Age, you get 100 gold, 100 food, and then Castle Age and Imperial Age, the same thing as well. This is mainly really good for getting up to Feudal Age and going for like a minute arm rush or an archer rush. It gives you a bit of extra food and gold to actually spend on that really fast, aggressive start. And it's also quite neat in Castle Age as well, when you want to, again, play with your power spike and get crossbow, bodkin, and bowsaw, and maybe a couple of knights. It gives you extra resources to afford all of those little things. So Ethiopians is all about their power spikes on every age. And then you also get the pikeman upgrade for free, which is really good against cavalry civs because everyone knows that Arbalest, or I shouldn't say everyone knows, but the main thing you want to do against cavalry civs is open Arbalest with archer civs generally, and then later switch to halberdiers. So getting the pikeman upgrade for free saves you some resources and saves you some time when it comes to making that transition. It could also open up some nice pike siege pushes in Castle Age. So that is definitely an option as well. The unique unit is the Shotel Warrior. We'll take a quick look at that guy later. Unique text, Royal Heirs is the first one, making the Shotel Warriors train nearly instantly. It's actually like faster than Goth Champion production. Torsion Engines increases blast radius of Siege Workshop units, including the Scorpion these days, which is quite cool. And then their team bonus, sorry about that, is that towers and outposts get +3 line of sight as well, which isn't really the most important thing, but it's actually not bad. It comes up here and there, especially with outposts. Okay, so let's take a look here. Their tech tree is pretty standard for an archer civ actually, so you're going to notice they have full arbalest. They are actually missing hand cannon, it must be noted. No hand cannon means that they might struggle against eagle warriors of all things as well. That might be a general counter to arbalest in Imperial Age. But in Castle Age, you're fully upgraded. Heavy Cav Archer is there, but I wouldn't recommend going for it because you are lacking Bloodlines and Parthian tactics. But overall, Arbalest and Skirmisher are their main unit there. Their barracks is a little bit weird actually because they don't get champions. They don't have that infantry option. I say weird because generally archer civs will have champion. Think of Britain's Japanese maybe, although they're more of an infantry civ. But then we don't have champion, but we have the Shotel Warrior in the castle, and that kind of plays replaces the champion a little bit in Imperial Age to some degree. Halberdier, of course, getting the free pikeman upgrade, and you have the 3 standard barracks decks. Stable's interesting once again. You have camels and heavy camel, and you have cavalier, and you have hussar, which is actually a pretty good tech, but you are missing a bloodline, so it makes the cavalry play pretty lackluster. They're also missing the last armor upgrade on these guys. So again, you could go like camel and castle age, nothing wrong with that. A few camels mixed in, a few knights mixed in, no problem. And you could even attempt to go hussar on late game, but it's definitely not your first choice. It's something that should be super situational, and you have to have a good reason to go for the cavalry in certain games. But again, it's still viable, but you are missing some important upgrades. Siege, fully decked out Siege Workshop, plus they have a unique tech that helps their Siege. Siege is fantastic with Ethiopians. You're going to find yourself playing with bomber cannons very often as like your kind of go-to arbalest, bomber cannon, halberd, your composition. But you also have Siege Ram that's really good against countering archer civs and maybe even skirmishers, so you can tank a lot of damage. Siege Oranges, again, really good against mass infantry, mass archers, mass skirmishers. And then Heavy Scorpion kind of kills all trash as well. Could be really good for the late game. So their sieges are fully teched out, and definitely one of their strong points in the late game, especially on more closed maps as well, which Ethiopians can play pretty well on as well. Blacksmith fully teched instead, only missing, I should say, only missing the plate barding armor. So, except, that's the word. Yeah, fully teched out except the plate barding armor. Alright, don't skip English shots to play AoE, it's not going to be worth it in the long run. So yeah, you're missing this, so this makes your cavalry play long term not the best, but like I said, it's still not bad. If you have a certain, if you have a really good reason to go for cavalry, I would say. Stuttered my words a lot. Dock, pretty standard, nothing crazy. You have Galleon, Dry Dock, and all the upgrades. You're missing Fast Fire Ship and Elite Cannon Galleon, but not the most important. And their water is pretty average, maybe above average. Important thing to note here in University, Siege Engineers is there, no Bomber Tower, and they have building armor. That's like the main things from University that varies from Civ to Civ. Siege Engineer being the main thing. They have keeps if you want to tower rush and fortified wall to defend yourself. Okay, Shotel Warrior. So the Shotel Warrior costs 50 food and 30 gold. It actually just got a cost decrease on the gold by 5, I believe. And think of this unit, it has 40 HP and 16 attack with no armor. Think of this unit like a very squishy but high attack dealing unit. So we'll call those in the business a glass cannon kind of unit, which deals a lot of damage but also dies very quickly. So I think the main uses for Shotel Warrior is kind of to protect yourself against, let's say, Eagle Warriors, to protect yourself against Huskrulls. Shotel Warrior is going to be your go-to unit. It's kind of like your anti-archer units, and it's definitely a good melee option to defend yourself if needed. And it could also be used to take out TCs very fast as well if you pair this with Arson. So Shotel Warriors have a pretty good use in the meta, I would say, and they definitely support the archer kind of strategy for Ethiopians long term. Obviously, pretty standard here. Monks, pretty standard. You're missing the two most important ones though, block printing and redemption. So it's just it's kind of like a whatever tech tree, no big deal. And then eco bonuses, missing crop rotation. Again, not a huge deal there. So overall, let's take a look and think about how the Civ would be played. Overall, sorry, I keep glancing here because that's like my OBS. I want to make sure everything's recording and everything is fine. But so overall, I would say the Ethiopians are very good. A very good Civ in terms of power spikes, in terms of strong options. I will say though that they are not the most flexible Civ, lacking the cavalry, lacking champion. Makes them a little bit vulnerable to certain strategies. But overall, I think they have enough going for them to the point where there can be going for archers, which is their strongest power or their strongest, I guess, point, and then using their other strength to kind of support that. So I think that's how I would classify Ethiopians overall, and I think that's how they should be played. So main focus is archers, and then using the other bonuses, other techs to kind of support that with siege, maybe with some, I don't know, Shotel Warriors, whatever the case may be, to really protect those archers and secure games that way. So really strong archer Civ here. The maps they excel on, Arabia obviously is a go-to. I always play Arabia on this series anyways. But they can be good on a variety of maps. They're pretty good on Arena, pretty good on Hideout. Steppe, they can be decent. Valley can be decent. Again, pretty strong across all land maps and pretty good on hybrid maps as well because they have a good navy. I would say their weaknesses is like pure water. They don't get the most bonuses. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The rest are pretty fine on. Arabia kind of being like their best map, I would say. Because it's open aggression and the power spikes can really, between ages can really be capitalized on. So anyway, that's going to be it for the theory section, but it's not only good to know the theory, you have to actually know how to apply it in a real game. And so let's take a look at one of the game I played against Viper not too long ago. There's the wallpaper again. I hate that my logo kind of takes away my face, but that's okay. I guess that's kind of like a faceless man, some Game of Thrones action there, so it's not too bad. But yeah, let's take a look at a game I played against Viper and see how Ethiopians play out in the real game, or in practice, I guess I could say. So let's go ahead and load game here and take a look at replays. There is a little bit of backstory here, though. I feel like I have to show this, and I'll show this instead of like a sponsor for this video, just to not make it too long. But yeah, let's take a look here. I got to go over to Viper's Twitter. I should have prepared this earlier, but it's okay. It wouldn't be a Hera video if I'm not talking shit here. So so this happened not too long ago. We had we had a tweet from Viper, and he said. He was streaming and he said, "Yo Hera, I'm about to reach 2K5, where you at?" So backstory here, I gave him 2K5 like 3 or 4 times now. Like I lost the game and pushed him over 2K5. So again, it's very natural that he's asking for it yet another time. And I should move my screen there. Perfect. And yeah, I responded obviously. So I said, I'm in queue, gonna make a tutorial for YouTube out of you, and here we are. So a little bit of a backstory there on Twitter. And also side note, guys, go follow my Twitter. I had tweeted about it afterwards. How do I go to my Twitter? Go follow me so I learn how to navigate the site. Yeah, and we're not gonna look at that. That's a spoiler. But anyway, go follow my Twitter. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. Let's try to get me to 5K followers. That's the goal for this video. But anyway, just thought that that's an interesting backstory, and I figured I'd have to point it out here. Okay, so nothing like some banter before we hop into a rigorous game here. So just gonna go ahead and find it. Okay. Let's not skip over that. Okay, cool. Japanese Ethiopians. Let's load the replay and see exactly what's happening here. Fantastic. All right, so we have here, if I can unzoom here, so we have me playing in blue as Ethiopians, of course. This is So You Want to Play Ethiopians. And then we have the Viper playing in red as Japanese. Now, similar to Japanese versus Britons that I showcased recently on the channel, I feel like Ethiopians have a really good matchup against Japanese, and it's something that Japanese kind of struggle to win. So I do feel like Viper has to really prove, make some damage early, or find a way to prove that he can actually win this game in the early game, because if it kind of just stalls out the late game and we're both fully boomed, what tends to happen is that Ethiopians are simply the better civ. I have bomber cannons available, stronger arbalest. I even have better cavalry to some degree, although Bloodlines versus Hussar attack, who's to know what's better? But yeah, Ethiopians tend to be stronger as the game goes on, with more siege as well. So I do feel like Viper has to make something happen in this early game. Let's see if he's able to do anything. But it's going to start out pretty standard here. Okay, so playing as Ethiopians, some of the strategies you want to consider here is drush men-at-arms into some sort of archers, either fast castle or archers in Feudal Age. Feel free to mix in some skirmishers as well, because I will say, if you're an archer civ, your weakness is definitely skirmishers. You do kind of get countered by skirmishers. So you have to make sure that you're well aware that your opponent might go skirmishers, and you have to react accordingly. So feel free to mix in some skirmishers in your strategy as well, just to keep yourself protected. Or maybe the other thing is, you can go archers and mix in some scouts or some knights in Castle Age to protect yourself against the skirms. Again, the main strategy with Ethiopians needs to be archers pretty much every single game, because that's, they excel too much there. However, you have to kind of support that in the smart way, so you don't just go archers and die to skirmishers, So we got to be smart and really find a way to cover our bases when going for our strong option. So again, at this point, I'm just scouting the map. One thing I want to talk about here, and I got this asked recently, I will make a guide on this, a video one of these days, or I might put it in the Discord builders at some point here as well. I'm going to talk about how to select your strategy based on your map. So I gave a few options here: drush, men-at-arms. You could even go scouts into archers, or even straight archers with Ethiopians. So there's a handful of strong standard strategies that I can pick from that are very classic and proven to work, that I can pick from here. And it comes down to the matchup and to my map, not so much my opponent's map, because I don't really know my opponent's map before I pick a strategy. So I would say the first thing you want to take a look at is your berry position. Berries and gold and wood, 3 things you have to consider here. So berries being forward means that if you're trying to go for a fast castle and you got pushed off the berries, what's going to happen is that you're not going to have enough food to actually click up properly, and you're going to get very delayed and have a terrible economy for your fast castle. Berries are huge in the early game, for food income. So right away, this is a bad sign for me going Drush into Fast Castle. That's a really bad sign. Second thing is that, the fact that my map is quite open as well. So like I have backwood, but it's not the most secure backwood, and it could definitely be raided. Another thing that tells me I probably don't want to go for a Drush Fast Castle. So based on this, and based on the fact that I'm now against Japanese, I do not want to open scouts versus Japanese. Definitely not, because their men-at-arms are too strong. They will shred my scouts. Obviously, I don't know he's going to go men-at-arms, but I suspect it because, again, knowing the meta, knowing the matchup, Japanese have really good men-at-arms. If you guys watch my So You Want to Play Japanese, you would know, or if you just watch Spirit of the Law. I'm actually not sure if I made a So You Want to Play Japanese. I think I did, but anyway. I'm talking a lot here, but the point is here, I've narrowed my strategy down. I don't want to do Drush FC. I don't want to do scouts because of the matchup, Drush FC because of the map. So logically speaking, I probably should do men-at-arms myself here just to defend myself against the berries. And you might be thinking Japanese have really good men-at-arms. It doesn't make sense to mirror the strategy. However, even if we trade men-at-arms and his are slightly better than mine, it doesn't really matter because he's going to have like 2 or 3 low HP men-at-arms by the end of the fight. So I don't really care about 2 or 3 low HP men-at-arms. I just clear them up with a few archers, then I just don't get pressured so hard by the full HP men-at-arm rush. So going men-at-arms against a stronger men-at-arm civ is totally fine with the mindset that you want to just trade it off and play Feudal Age with range units and just to kind of buy yourself some time. So that's going to be my strategy here. So I'm going to go for a barracks here. As you can see, I am kind of scouting my opponent's map as well, just trying to find what he's up to. Bit of a mistake to go on this far down though. I should have known that he's up here, and this is scouting too far out. But I'm going to be protecting my left side here. So I'm walling up this left side, kind of securing my map. This will defend my main gold and defend my berries. And I'm also going to start making my men-at-arms. I go up 21 pop, not for anything except for the fact that I'm using my Ethiopian bonus. Remember when I talked about power spikes? Generally, men-at-arms is a 22 pop strategy. However, Ethiopians get 100 free food and 100 free gold, meaning I can only have 1 on gold, and that's fine. So because of this, I decided to simply go for 21 pop men-at-arms, and I end up doing the same thing as him, and he went for 20 pop men-at-arms, most likely because he, using the Japanese bonus, has cheaper lumber camps, and actually has the 3 lumber camp start, funny enough. Not sure if that's good or not, but it's, making use of the Japanese bonus, and so because of that, he's able to also go 21 pop, because he's saving so many resources early game. So again, both of us making pretty good use of our civs here, and going for actually a mirror strategy, which, like I said, I'm happy about that, because my win condition here is just to get the archers and then to support the archers, and then over time, the longer this game goes, the better it is for Ethiopians anyways, because that's just simply how the matchup works. Bomber cannon and better arbalest is really good. The thing is though, alright, Hera has to watch out here, alright? Hera, yeah, in third person, that's a really good position for Viper. Gets a good trade. I definitely messed up. I showed my hand too early. I got over eager, and I end up actually having a rough engagement with the men-at-arms. But I get lucky. I win the Scout War though, and I'm now up 2 HP. Not a huge deal, but if you remember what I said in the early game, we traded our units. And now, since I'm running away, I saw he got men-at-arm. I'm gonna cancel my men-at-arm tech. You guys saw that? I had it going. I canceled it because he's chasing me anyways. I'd rather save that little bit of eco and use it to get a faster uptime, faster fletching perhaps. And so this way, I'm a lot safer. And this is something you can do in your own games as well. If you notice, your opponent, this is a bit more advanced kind of, logic. But if your opponent is going to chase away men-at-arms, he's going to win anyway this fight. Might as well just buy yourself some time and save yourself the resources on men-at-arms. Because like I said, the whole point of the men-at-arm opening was to buy myself some time. If I can do the same with a Drush, that's fine. So now I actually don't really know his follow-up besides the fact that he's doing 1 range. I know nothing else. So I'm going to be casting from my perspective here just to kind of get you guys the feeling of what it is like to be in game here and to do decision making from only what we know. So at this point I've walled to the left side and I'm looking to get up my ranges, play some archers because again, Ethiopians, this makes a lot of sense with the civ. And I'm also going to send another build just to wall up that right side as well. Going to try and slowly close this last gap here, because walling and closing up your map is super important in today's meta because the games tend to snowball too fast. So you really have to play super sharp and super focused and not to fall behind. And now I make a couple archers, and now I'm thinking this is a critical moment in the game in my opinion. I'm thinking I saw him in a range, and I know he has his men-at-arms still alive, and in fact he's not chasing me anymore. So it's very possible that he goes men-at-arms and skirmishers against me, and if I have just archers, I will literally die versus that army. I can't really fight that army. if he has men at arms and skirmishers. So I decide, just to be safe, I'm going to mix in skirms of my own. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. I would love to play pure archers. I would love it. I'm Ethiopians. My archers fire faster. I get nice bonuses to support it. However, it's not going to work against my opponent who knows that I might do this straight archer play. So instead, what I'm going to do is mix in a few skirmishers to kind of keep myself safe if he presents me skirmishers, which, like I said, I'm playing blind, and this is kind of a cost I'm doing just because I don't really know what to expect. Which is fine, right? Just a couple skirmishes just to be safe. Now I see his archers. I even thought to myself now, I was like, maybe the skirmishes are not really necessary, because I'm more than happy to play archers versus his archers. Although I did see a skirm there, so I'm feeling, okay, this is a decent situation. I'm going to pick up fletching and continue walling. Now, back home, my economy is rolling pretty decently. It's like you would expect. It's pretty fragile because you went for 21 pop men at arms. I'm still kind of distracting him here a little bit, but Viper's not the type to overreact to 3 low HP militia. So that's just more just to annoy him more than anything, not to force any reaction. And now I'm just going to be getting my economy going as well. Now, if I want to quickly cheat and see what Viper's up to, and we don't know this, but Viper is doing kind of the similar thing. 2 ranges, and he's adding in now armor for his men at arms. So that's the difference in strategy, which I do not know. He's got 4 men at arms with armor and some archers and skirms. So let's see what I can do here. It will come down to some micro, and I decided to move out, but then quickly changed my mind. I only moved out because I was fully walled, but since I saw his men at arms, I decided to go back. Alright, so here I do kind of a nice move here. I separate the archers and skirms. I use the archers to snipe the men at arms and the skirms to snipe the archers. This is just maximizing the rock, paper, scissors effect in this game, where one unit counters another unit, and then one unit counters yet another unit. And so in using that, I'm able to kite back, kill his men at arms, and then easily force back his archers with my skirmishers. And at this point, I have a massive advantage. I'm up a couple villagers, and well, I think he has wheelbarrow actually. That's not really a thing, but he did invest a lot into the men at arms and didn't really get value from it. So I have a massive advantage. I didn't even invest into men at arms myself, so I probably have way more resources in the bank and a much better eco setup to click up the cast stage faster. So he's in a pretty weak position, and I recognize that, so I'm going to start pressuring him now with my skirms and archers, and just to make sure I'm able to actually capitalize it. But I do see he's got a lot of units, so I just back up. And once again, I fight skirms versus skirms and archers, and then use the archers to simply run away. And that's a really good way. Again, I'm using the rock, paper, scissors effect. I'm fighting only with counter units. And at this point, I think he's trying to force something to happen. But at this point, I just have too good a position. And I'm taking good trade after good trade and getting way further ahead, as you can see by the score. And he actually just calls the game rather early, but he probably knows what's coming. Again, his eco is pretty weak. Missed out on double bid axe. Doesn't have that many resources. And if you can, compare the positions, I have way more resources in the bank and a much easier time from this position getting towards Castle Age as well. So GG, he did start something funky. It was a very bad matchup for Japanese. Japanese tend to counter cavalry civs more so than archer civs. They tend to die more often than not to archer civs, I would say. So definitely a rough matchup for him. And he did try to make something happen. But as you can see, just playing kind of standard, just playing kind of, calculated and just doing the smart moves was enough for me to win the game. I think the only thing I did that was pretty nice was the micro on the hill to kind of snipe the men at arms and then let the skirmishers hit the army. But as far as picking my strategy, that came down to just some everyday decision making that you guys will get better at, will get better at just by playing more and more games. So again, just to quickly recap, I protected my map. I went for men at arms because I recognized that I had forward berries, traded them off with my opponent, and then simply went into the archers. Mixed in some skirms to defend the archers, which proved to be pretty invaluable this game. Pretty valuable or invaluable? Invaluable means like very valuable. That's how I'm going to use it at least. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But very valuable. Let's stick with the basics here. And it ended up working pretty well. So definitely a pretty good showcase of how Ethiopian should be played in Feudal Age. And again, feel free to go straight, like only archers, no skirmishers, if you're confident that your opponent won't go skirmishers. But if you're unsure, mixing in a few skirms for yourself is always a good way to protect your archers against your opponent's skirms. And then another option is also for you to go some scouts as well yourself. So I hope this was somewhat educational. Just because this kind of ended a little early, I'm going to quickly just talk about what would happen if the game went on and if it maybe was a bit more even in this case. So my next decision-making steps would be to go up to Castle Age, since I'm fully walled and there's nothing much more to do in Feudal Age. Probably try to pressure my opponent a little bit, maybe sneak around some archers, whatnot. and then just try to go crossbows and castle, and then boom with 3 TC. When I add knights, it's a possibility. If my opponent has a lot of skirms, I could add 1 stable knights. I could add some siege via Mangonel Scorpion to defend skirmishers, and then the rest my archers can kill. My archers can kill knights, they can kill light cap, they can kill infantry of all kinds, they can kill his crossbows if he has it. So the only thing I really die to is siege and skirmishers in Castle Age. And well, me going knights or my own siege will protect me in that case. So again, going archers is the main strategy, and then protecting that with some other options is the go-to way to play Ethiopians. And then just using your power spikes to your advantage and to kind of get, gain advantage and gain momentum on your opponent when you are stronger than them, because your civ gets free resources and stronger units. One last thing I want to mention here is if the game goes into Imperial Age, I'd play with the same logic. I play Arbalest, I try to control some hills, play Bombard Cannon as my siege, and then as my trash unit, I might just mix in some skirms. I might also go Hussar if he has a lot of skirms himself, and just kind of play a solid composition based around the fact that I have amazing Arbalest. And I might even pull out some siege ram and some siege honors late game if I feel fancy as well. So anyway, that's going to be it for this game here, guys. Let me quickly show these stats. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. It was a bit of a short game, but I feel like I talked enough to make up for it, and we're at like 26 minutes now. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. I was reading this. In the next video. Take care, and peace.